Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Renzo Ruiz Haas, and I want to welcome you all to our first episode of Spiritual Warrior TV, your go-to channel for everything related to spirituality, personal development, and well-being. And today's guest is an expert survivalist. He's been in the Canadian Armed Forces since 2007, both as a photographer and videographer. He started teaching mindfulness and meditation since the age of 30 to military members and their families. I want to give a big warm welcome to Robert Ouellette. What's
Hi,
up,
how are
Rob?
you?
It's
I'm
a
good.
pleasure to
I'm
have you
good.
here.
Yeah, it's I'm very honored to be on your show. It's really awesome.
So this is a very funny story and how I just want to introduce to the public here of how I got to meet you. I remember I was at Saint Jean base at the imagery shop there with Pat Blanchard, who's a sergeant there.
Yep.
And I brought a singing bowl of mine. Started doing this little meditation, and he kind of stopped me there. He's like, "Wait a second, you remind me of a friend of mine,
Yeah.
Rob Ouellette. I gotta introduce you to this guy." He's like, "Wait," and then he like added you on Facebook. There's like, "Hey, Rob, this is Renzo. Renzo's is Rob. Speak." Like,
Yeah.
that was,
Yeah. This is the first time we had a face-to-face though, but yeah, Patrick, he's a great guy. He's so funny and he's so knowledgeable about everything that he does. If he puts his hands on something, he's fantastic at it, and good friend. He's a good friend.
yeah,
Yeah.
so connected to like,
Yeah.
without necessarily being in this whole like spirituality thing. He's very connected to. So you see, he's got that joy.
Oh, well,
Natural joy.
him and I, we were in one of our trainings that we had. He was a roommate of mine, so we bunked up. We had two beds. I had a bed and he had his, and so on my side, of the room, I mean, I had the whole place jazzed up with all my little stuff like this that you see back here, just little trinkets and statues and books and stuff. And so, he used to make fun of me, but he made fun of me in the lightest kind of way. In fact, we even did a video as part of a video project because both of him and I were both imagery technicians, and part of the training was to learn how to do videos.
Yeah.
And so when we had an opportunity to do a quick 5-minute, 10-minute video, that's one of the little gags we did is I had him doing some meditation stuff in this video, and I'm telling you, it was a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Getting back to what really caught my attention is that you and I, we have a very similar kind of although we all have our very unique journey, we have very similar paths, you and I. Meaning that I'm also an imagery technician in the Canadian Armed Forces, currently in the process of releasing. But yeah, and I saw what really caught my attention was I saw an ad of yours on Facebook. It was an event that you were organizing for doing sound bath meditations, and I also use sound as a tool for my meditation practices. So I found that was really great, a great connection there.
Yeah. I praise you on your goals that you're doing right now. I mean, it's not an easy path to go on, and especially when you're trying to
Thank you.
bring everyone together. I mean, you can go on your own spiritual journey. You can take care of yourself. You can look after yourself here and
Right.
here, and that is not too difficult. I mean, it takes practice. But when there's someone like you and I, where we're trying to reach out to the world and we're trying to send this message out that, we can all do this, everyone can do this, and we can create a better world for not just ourselves, but for everyone in the future, it's a bit challenging. That's what
Yeah,
I found.
I agree. I completely agree, especially during these times where we see a lot of things happening in the world, right? And seems like it's creating a lot of divisions. Like I said it before, if it's not a virus, it's a political party, race, or you name it. Anything it's a cause right now to create a division. Anything could be a reason for that. But
Yeah, I
it's
completely agree with you on that. I see that it's been like that for too long, actually, and it's just amplifying. It's getting, I'm not going to say it's getting worse, but I find that division is, it's reaching a point where whatever side that you're on, even there's still grounds for being confused no matter which side you're on. Because before
yeah,
I found that people who, whichever side you chose, you kind of knew what your statement was. You knew what you were standing for.
right.
But I find these days now, I find that both sides are getting confused with their own messages and their own research and you
Exactly.
know
It's not even about both sides anymore. It's about like a trillion different sides that people,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know, yeah,
Yeah,
so much going on. I definitely agree with that.
yeah.
Like, where I was getting with this is, you know, on your part, what is it that got you interested into this whole world of, first of all, like, I want you to give your definition of the word mindfulness, because to me, like, I don't really resonate with that word for myself. That's one thing. But I know it's a word that it's being used by many people who are in this field, like mindfulness. So what does it mean to you?
So mindfulness means to me is basically, in a nutshell, it's becoming aware. So you're becoming aware of something, and whatever you become aware of, that's your focus at that time. So if I'm going to do mindfulness as a practice, and I'm going to sit and do some meditation or whatever I'm going to do, even when I'm in my car, I could just become aware of something. So usually they'll say, become aware of your breath as a start to your meditation. Become aware of your environment. Become aware of this and become aware of that. But when you're becoming mindful and it is within you to always be mindful, like you are just becoming aware of things. So becoming aware of what you say, becoming aware of your emotions, I find is what's really powerful. To be aware that right now I'm angry, right now I'm okay, right now I'm laughing, whatever that is, become aware of that. And to me, that's all that mindfulness is. I find that a lot of people do not take that time to connect with their mind. We're connecting with what we're thinking about all the time. I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about that. And oh, hey, I want to go do this and I want to talk to that person and I want to listen to this song or I want to watch that movie or I want to eat this food, whatever that is, right? But when we become mindful of, okay, I am hungry, do I need to eat? What am I hungry for? What is it? What does it all mean? um, who do I want to talk to? Because when I talk to somebody, I want to be able to be present while I'm talking to them. Because we can just have simple conversations like, hey, how's it going? What's life like? What did you guys do yesterday? Things like that. But sometimes when somebody wants to talk, they want to actually get to know you as well, and they want to validate something in their life. So it's that validation that a lot of people are looking for.
Right.
So if you allow yourself to be mindful and be present while you're having a conversation with your friends or your family or whoever it might be, now you're allowing them to you're allowing yourself to give them all the respect and attention that they're looking for.
Right. And to be present, not only actively listening, but also energetically present. Right.
Yeah, you know, and whatever that is. I mean, because that's what I say. Like, there's no right or wrong about mindfulness.
That's it.
Mindfulness, if I'm getting everything all wrong, if everything's just feeling kind of wonky or kind of weird, that's okay. Mindfulness is not going to necessarily change any of that, but being aware of I'm feeling strange, something's not right. You
It's
get
okay not to be okay, right? And not feel guilty for not being okay or judging ourselves for it, right? It's just
absolutely, like, exactly.
right, just a matter of accepting the whole as it is. and
Yeah.
and you're right, because why I said, like, the reason why I said what, like, I don't resonate with mindfulness, with the term, is just like you said, there is no right or wrong. And now that you define to me what mindfulness is, and like your definition behind it, really that resonates with me. You know what I
So
mean?
what did you think mindfulness was
To me, like,
before you asked me that question?
because the word mindfulness to me was just like, it already takes me to a place where, okay, your mind is full, mindfulness.
Oh, I see.
And to me, it's just a matter of, like, you know kind of emptying your mind, all the
Ah,
thoughts that we constantly having, and just go into that peaceful inner state, where
yeah,
there's just no thoughts, or just flowing thoughts.
right,
Not like a mindful in a sense of like your thoughts are stuck in your mind, but more like a flowing mind, because your mind can be full but stagnant, but also your mind can be full but just flowing. You know what I
right.
mean? There's a subtle difference.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right, because sometimes there's a blockage there of some kind, and
Mhm.
you can get stuck in things like that. That's why sometimes, like, when we're not paying attention and we're not being, like I said, mindfulness is just, I could do anything and be mindful about it. If I'm at work and I'm going to a printer to print something, I can be mindful of the whole step of myself going to that printer and printing on it, as opposed to just
Right.
doing it. I'm just going to go. And that's, if I'm going to, I can grab a sip of coffee here and just drink, or I can actually be
Taste.
mindful of the whole process of grabbing that, having that sip, and feeling the feeling of having that coffee go in me. And now, how do I feel? Right, a coffee is something that I enjoy, so it's like, yeah, how do I feel now that I've had that? Right.
I agree. And with a busy life, we often have, and we do things on full automatic mode, and often not realizing what we're doing. The day goes by, and
yeah.
another day, and we don't even know. We're not
So
really aware of all the things we're doing, right?
another way to look at it, though, is when we think about meditation, for example, a lot of times people think that meditation is you're going into an area to where you're going to just sit and be silent and do a couple of procedures or something, a few practice things like breathing and whatnot. But really, meditation is connected to a lot of different things. And basically, it is connection. So meditation could be in the form of yoga. So yoga, we say yoga, and what do we think when we say yoga? We're going to go to yoga class. Well, we're going to go and we're going to do some stretches and we're going to do some movements, and we're going to exercise a few muscles and things. But really, you are connecting, because when you do yoga, you are focused. You have to be. If anybody has not tried yoga,
Mm.
let me tell you, it is harder than you think, because every movement that you're doing is needs concentration of some kind and some
Right.
focus. And you have to pay attention to your breathing, because your breathing will put you out of balance with the rest of your body. And so you are connecting with your body when you are in yoga. Meditation is a connection with your mind. It's a connection with your environment. It's a connection with everything. So there's different forms of meditation, but somebody can be, if you want to, you could be in a meditative state your entire day, walking, driving, talking, eating, and still be meditating at the same time. So no, it's not just sitting in the corner and doing that. So
Right.
meditation, in
I mean,
my it's mindfulness. It's meditation is mindfulness when you look at what meditation really is, as opposed to just the simple terms of what everyone thinks it is. But
yeah.
in the grand scheme, meditation is connection. And if it's a spiritual connection, then that's a spiritual thing. And if it's not spiritual, because it doesn't have to be spiritual at
Right.
all,
Like you
zero,
said, there is no right or wrong, right? You can be,
none.
my meditation can be that moment when I'm in the shower. I know I often do this. Like, the moment I'm in the shower, that's where I kind of do my meditation. Other times for other people, it can be just singing in the car, and
Yeah, yeah. And that's another cool thing that you said too, because singing is a connection.
oh yeah, the
It's a
the
strong
like
connection.
it's
And
part of the whole
yeah,
sound thing, right? The
It
voice
is.
is another instrument.
Yeah, and it's an expression of what's inside you. I've had a lot of people who who I've had conversations with people who listen to heavy metal music, or that strong, tense vibrational
Mhm.
thing, and some people have challenged whether or not that was a wrong thing or not, because a lot of people, when they go to do some sort of meditation, what would they listen to? The sounds of the ocean, the sounds of the birds chirping, or they have some sort of
Right.
calm music and whatnot. But really, when you're singing, you're vibrating, you're expressing
Exactly.
what's in here. And if that music happens to be something on the angry tone, there's nothing wrong with that. uh, Being aware of that, though, that I think that's where I would encourage people, is to be
Exactly.
aware that you are connecting with this angry music. Why are you connecting with that angry music? What does it say to you? Why are you enjoying that hard beat of a guitar, which I personally love too? I love hard music,
Right.
but I also love soft music. I love music of all kinds. So I have a deep eclectic expression of vibrations within me as well, that I like to release. I'm not afraid to dance around in front of my kids. We have a good old time doing
Right.
silly things.
Yeah, no, I feel that, a lot of people think because, oh, we're like in spirituality, that you should never get angry, or you should, you know, be good all the time. And no, it's about how you express that anger when you get it. Because we all do. I mean, we're all humans, right? And to me is through martial arts, right? I go and
Mm.
get a punching bag. To me, that's a positive way to express that anger. And
Yeah,
also, like, for some people, when they listen to hard rock or heavy metal, it's a way for them to also express that anger. It's never good to like suppress a feeling.
right. And so then what happens, right? What happens when you release that anger? Um, you feel much better afterwards.
Right, absolutely,
You
it's a
feel good.
release, right?
You feel good. If somebody who is always connecting to angry things, like angry music, for example, and that angry music was promoting angry and violent ways of thinking, I would then start to encourage people to again look at life differently, because it's not just the tone of the music, it's not just that vibration of the music. Words in a music, in a song, can affect you when you hear that over and over and over again. That becomes your
Absolutely.
mantra. If hate becomes your mantra within your music, that's going to reflect in your attitude. So it's not
that's
just
that's
it's
true.
not just the hard banging rock of drums and guitar and things like that. It's the words,
Yeah, we
right?
don't realize it because the words that we hear most of the time get in our subconscious mind. And we don't realize it when we were listening to all these songs on the radio and stuff. All
Yeah,
those words get in our subconscious mind, and
I find
they
myself
affect us
sometimes.
whether we
Yeah,
want it or not.
sometimes I when I'm listening to a song that I used to listen to back in the 90s, when I used to listen to a lot of inappropriate music,
Well, that's
and I
okay.
hear those songs nowadays and I'm singing them and I know them word for word, and then I
Right.
am like, okay, I don't connect with it the same way anymore, because I am still having a nostalgic moment of that beat, and how it makes me feel. But at the same time, I may not be resonating with the words that
Right,
are being
because there's the
said.
word, and there's also the vibration we put behind the word, like that intention as well,
Yeah,
that really counts.
yeah,
Because to me, when I talk to people, I often, it's not that I don't hear what they're saying, but I'm also listening with the heart. It's like, what is this person not only saying, but what is this person projecting,
right.
right?
Sounds like you're doing some mindfulness right there.
Right. So you try to you try to listen to a person not only through one sense, but also through the heart. And it's surprising, like, all the the results that you can get from doing this.
Hmm. It's true. It's true. So I have become quite sensitive to other people's vibrations, and it comes in various forms.
I love how
So
you say it. I have become, because it's something you can develop. People think it's like, oh, only certain types of individuals that can develop this like intuitive skills or
yeah,
psychic abilities, whatever. No, anyone can do this. Just like anything, it takes practice, right?
it does. It's kind of like reading Braille. I say, you know, a blind person who has to learn to read, when they read Braille, they have to stick their fingers on these little divots on a piece of paper, whatnot. And if you and I were to do that, I wouldn't know what is being said. I don't recognize
Oh,
the words, and it's hard. You have to
sure.
be sensitive to all those divots.
Right.
And so with practice, and you can still grow to learn to feel other people's vibrations. And when you do it often enough, um, I'm telling you, sometimes somebody can be in the next room and I don't even know they're there. And I can feel something coming from over there, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Something's weird over there. So that vibration can resonate from one person to another. And it comes in, like you said, it comes through the heart, it comes through emotions and how someone's
Right.
feeling. And it
Emotions. I heard
also,
this before from emotions. It's energy in motions. I can't
yeah,
remember
well,
where I heard this
everything,
before, but it's so accurate to me.
everything you do, Renzo, is based on your emotions. Um, everything. You know, if you're hungry, it's an emotional feeling. If you're tired, it's an emotional thing. You ever do something uh, repetitively? Like I go to work every day, and one day I'm feeling one emotional state, whatever that might be, and I'll perform in a certain way. But the next day I go to do the exact same process, the same task, but I'm feeling a different emotional feeling, and that's going to reflect in my work as well. You know,
Mhm.
emotions, whatever you do, is if I gave you a choice to have an apple or an orange, and I said, take one, whatever you choose today, not tomorrow, but this particular one time, what is your emotional state towards that? And that is a sensitive emotional feeling that people don't get down to. If you were
Right.
to sit there and take time to be mindful of why you're choosing, let's just say the apple, I'm going to choose the apple. What is my connection to that apple? Why do I want that apple? What's my emotional state right now?
Right.
And honestly, people are not going to be sitting there thinking about that. But there is an emotional connection to every choice that you make. If you get out of bed, that's an emotional choice that you're having.
Right.
You know?
It's true. We are absolutely 100%. We are emotional beings, like you said, and
Yeah,
yeah. So, like, moving on to something that I've seen you also publish a couple of videos of survivalism out in nature.
yeah.
Um, I want to know, how did you kind of get into that? Was that always something that was with you during your lifetime, or something that got you interested? How did it
No,
all happen for you?
that happened in a very interesting way. I have a friend and fellow imagery technician who had become a prepper. You know, and that kind of prepper who was, you know, learned how to get a bunch of food and be prepared for 3 months, 6 months, kind of like what everyone's going through right now.
Yeah,
But
like
this
toilet
gentleman was
paper.
doing it. He was doing it years ago, years ago, and every day at work, we would have conversations, and he would almost, not trying to convince me to become a prepper, but he always asked me questions to get my mind thinking. Well, what are you going to do when this happens? What are you going to do when that happens? Oh, guess what? This is what's happening. Look at the news. What's it telling you? Are you ready? Are you ready? And so I couldn't invest my time to do it at that time, because it's a financial investment that you got to do, and it takes knowledge and it takes time to become a prepper. You, like a real prepper, it takes a long time, and mistakes are going to be made along the way. So anybody today who just says, hey, we're going to beat this epidemic, whatever, and we're just going to become preppers, it's not as easy. But
It's not as
here's
easy as getting all the toilet paper you can get, right?
Exactly. At this time, and this is before survival shows became popular, because there's a few popular survival shows on the Discovery Network and whatnot.
Yeah, I've seen a
This
couple
was
of them.
before then. And I said to myself, well, I may not be able to do what you're doing, but what would I do if I was planted in the middle of the woods and had to survive? When I had that thought, I knew nothing about outdoor survival. I had no idea what to expect. In fact, I had a lot of fear my first outing that I went to, because I was afraid of bears and wolves. What was I going to do? Like, I legitimately had that fear.
But then
But
again, who doesn't, right?
right. But as you go in and you get your little toes wet and you make a lot of mistakes, trust me, that is not an easy thing either. Um, so as preparation and as I grew in, there was a lot of people who got interested in me being interested in it. So they'll be like offering me advice or ideas to think of, or take this and take that. And these were all gears, like gears to take with you. And I said to myself, you know what? Even that is too much for me. How do I make a rock? I mean, how do I make a tool in the woods? Instead of having the tool with me, how do I make a tool? So there's ways of making tools with rocks. There's ways of making tools with bone or with wood. And
Awesome.
a long story short on that, because I've been doing that for years now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how to make string is a very important thing for a lot of people out there. You're going to get into that. Learn how to
Yeah.
make rope. Make some rope. In fact, I should do a video on that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the first one watching
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my journey. That's how I became interested in survival skills, because
That's
that led to, how are you going to make clothes? How are you going to make clothes?
exactly.
Right? And then the process of making clothes and process of all this stuff means you have to kill animals. For example, that idea of hunting and killing an animal changed my view on the supermarket and going to the store and picking up some beef or whatnot, because
Mm-hmm.
now you are forced to take a life. You are forced to go through that process. And then when you're hands on and you're having an animal in front of you and you have to skin that animal in order to take its hide to make clothing, or you can use the hide for other purposes for survival. But when you're doing that, there's a whole spiritual and emotional connection that you're having at that moment. And
Oh,
so there's a huge respect for it. And now that I know those certain things, I hope there's some things that I never have to do, like go hunt and kill an animal. So when I go out now, when I go out, and because I do it every year, when I go out to do survival skills training, I often bring a vegetarian diet now, and I may eat one or two meals that are pertain to like protein of meat of some kind. So I'm like 95% vegetarian, and the other percent is meat. Um,
yeah. Well, same for me. I like mostly vegetarian, and sometimes I eat like seafood at a time. And
yeah,
that's about it.
yeah.
But yeah, so that connection there, because there's clearly to me a connection between nature, surviving nature, and meditation, mindfulness that you're talking about. What's the like the connection that you see, if you see any?
Oh, I do, and it's a profound feeling of being out in the woods when you're doing mindfulness. Like, because you're right. I started off with the whole mindfulness idea. Um, I was doing mindfulness when I was a child, and I didn't even really realize it until I hit my late 20s and I had a few life moments. And I'm like, you know what? I've been doing mindfulness my whole life. I was just that kind of a person. I was just observing life all the time. So I was not a person to go outside into the woods. Being in northern Ontario, right? You know what it's like. We got bugs like crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Mosquitoes will
in
ruin your day. I'm telling you, they just completely ruin your day.
Mm,
So
I
going out
agree.
into the was never a thing of mine. I lived in the city where we did city things. So now that I'm out there using my mindfulness and connecting with everything, and everything's hard in its own way, like I said, just to light a fire with your hands is difficult. You know, like everything's hard,
Yeah.
and so you become connected with that, and it is a bit of a spiritual thing. You can almost feel the trees talking to you, and I know that sounds really wonky.
Oh no, it doesn't. Trust me. I've I've
Yeah,
communicated with nature before. I have my experiences as well.
yeah.
That and
I
nothing wacky
swear,
about it.
you know, it's like the trees are looking at you, going, "Good luck, buddy. Good luck. I see what you're doing. You know,
Yeah.
good try. But
Yeah.
then when you have successes, things start to become successful for you out in nature. You also feel that connection with the trees. It's almost like the environment is becoming accepting of you, because you really need to understand the nature of your environment. You need to understand the relationship between the trees and those rocks and that river. And
Right.
it goes back thousands of years. But when you're out there and you have to do it from scratch, again, without tools and gear that you get from the pro sports shop, when you go out there with just an item or two, you have to know what nature is all about. Because if you're going to get through the day when it's raining, you need to connect with nature, because nature's going to help you or hurt you. The
Mm,
bugs and the animals and all that stuff.
for
It's a
sure.
huge
But
connection. So sitting there, even when it's raining, can be a wonderful experience. And sitting there when the sun is shining down on you can be an experience. Being alone for so long and just being quiet for so long and not even talking, it changes everything as well, you know?
yeah, the fact of being alone and connected to nature also brings in a lot of you know consciousness and awareness to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And like most of the biggest um awakenings from people happen really, in times of isolation and nature.
Hmm.
And like if you look at Moses going up the mountain for all those days, came up with the whole commandments thing, the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
It's because to me, everything has like that vibration that we're talking about. To me, it's always a communication. The, the vibration to me is a coded communication, and it's not English.
Oh
So
no.
whatever I'm feeling is, and you become mindful of that feeling. So again, just becoming sensitive to it opens up a whole emotional state where sometimes you feel so joyful and it comes out of nowhere. And you're like, well, I'm so happy right now. And I don't want to quit doing what I'm doing right now. And believe it or not, I don't have a single cell phone in my hand. I don't have any connections to anybody out there in the world. It's just me and what I'm doing. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be in the forest. It could be right in my backyard.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like, whew,
It comes from the inside, right?
yeah, you know,
That
Not-
state of joy and inner
yeah.
peace, really.
So now what I'm doing is, because I used to work on the microcosm. When I first started learning about vibrations, I would go into, I really researched a lot of what the sciences are in the vibrations and sound therapy and things. There's a whole science to it. And I really appreciated what was going on the quantum level. And I learned about quantum physics years ago, like 15 years ago, we're talking about, well, more than that, when I was 27. So anyhow, do the math. I'm 43 right now. When I was 27 and I started learning about quantum physics, I really started to connect with what's happening at that microscopic level, like beyond microscopics.
Oh yeah.
And vibrations are there, and vibrations are key
It's
to
what we are.
the whole reality of everything.
Like Nikola Tesla said it. If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energies, frequencies, and vibrations, right? That's
Correct.
what we all
Right.
are.
That's right. And when we say like we're all made of stardust, but that stardust too
No,
is
that's
also made
literally
of the
that's not
same.
even
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's made of the same thing, that coded information of vibrations. So to
Right.
me, that's where it's like, okay, so I've studied this within me. I have really looked within. That is an area that's really hard to explain. when I do my videos on YouTube, and maybe you will have, or maybe you had that same feeling, is that it's hard to express what's inside onto video.
Right.
We want to say a lot of things. My brain, I have a problem where my brain is more active than my mouth.
Exactly,
So
because we're limited by the language, right? We're
yeah,
feeling all these energies and we want to express them, and then the English language is limit. Whatever language, not only English,
yeah,
any
yeah,
language is limiting our expression of that creative energy or life force, however you want to
precisely,
call it. Right.
precisely. And so my connection with myself is where it all begins, and then it connects outward to the people and things that are around me.
Mhm.
And I have to remind myself that too, because again, even when I get angry, I have to deal with those emotions. But
Right.
now, Renzo, I've decided, I've learned a few things in
Astrology. Oh,
astronomy,
astronomy.
the
Okay.
galaxies and things like that.
Right.
Um, I have learned that recently there's studies out there that show that there's energetic filament, is what they call it, that actually connects one galaxy to another galaxy, and it's almost like veins. They're like, they have a picture of it. You can look it up online. It's cosmic filament.
Yeah,
Look
the
it up.
unifying web that connects
It's
everything.
amazing. It's amazing. So all that energy is actually branched out like veins, human veins, like veins you'd see on a leaf in nature. It's just branching out from one galaxy to another, and that energy is coming to Earth. So when you think of the whole entire universe and how massive that is, and then you think about that tiny little speck that we are on this
Oh yeah.
whole universe, and then there is Rob. Here he is, that tiny little Rob out there.
It's a very
Well,
humbling experience.
if you connect, and this is my belief, and this is what I'm growing to, it is strengthening. I'm starting to validate that,
Hmm.
because this is a new experience for me, believe it or not. But I am able to connect with that filament that is spreading throughout the entire universe. So I am no longer just bound by this environment and within myself, which is probably the most important part, is the deep down inside you, or the consciousness within you. I can close my eyes and forget that I'm even a human being, and just know that I am whatever
Right.
I am it. You're
Yeah,
it. I'm it. We're all
that's
it.
it.
I can connect with that part of myself. But if I'm going to become present in the world, if I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to walk through this world every day, be that Rob speck on this planet, well, that Rob speck on this planet has a connection to the entire universe.
Of course,
And now that I know that, I am trying to connect stronger with that.
that Rob, that Renzo, it's the avatar that we come and play in this earth, right?
That's right.
We're
That's
much more than just our names or whatever label we want to put to ourselves, or as military, whatever.
Yep.
That those are just all labels. In reality, we're not what we do. We simply, like you said, we are.
Yeah,
And yeah.
we are. And that consciousness, and I think that word is being used a lot nowadays, is consciousness. So there's that universal consciousness.
Hmm.
And I believe in that as well. And there's layers to that consciousness that I also believe in,
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah,
there's
it resonates. That really resonates with me as well.
yeah, there seems
It,
like there's always something going on, right? There's always,
mm,
there's the consciousness of the planet. There's that consciousness. There's the consciousness of the universe,
mm,
and that is huge. And I think that's something that a lot of us are starting, and yourself, we're starting to understand that connection,
mm.
the consciousness of the universe. And then there's another layer of consciousness that I believe that goes beyond that, and that could be the creator, that whatever that is,
Yeah, no,
you know.
exactly. There's so much we don't know out there.
No,
Like, I feel that my spiritual life, it's like an onion where I'm
right?
peeling layers and layers of like a giant onion, because there's so many
Yeah,
layers to it, and I'm just peeling layers of awareness, and the more I gain consciousness on different things, there are tears of joy and pain at the same time that come in there, and
yeah,
the more you start gaining awareness.
yeah. That's true. And I find that because we are chemical based as well, right? Like the human body, that avatar that you're talking about, the
Mhm.
Renzo and the Rob, in this body, it functions with neural stimulations, and it works with chemical reactions, right?
Right.
So quite honestly, my anger could be just risen or enhanced by whatever chemical that's going on in my mind. Like you
Right.
said, we can't just go around expecting that we're never going to be angry. It's possible, I think. I think it's possible, but you have to be in a certain environment, in a certain situation for
Mhm.
that to happen. Um, but it is difficult for me. Like I really, I've gotten over this, by the way, but there is a certain aspect of being a parent where you get angry with your children and what they're doing because you are
It's
responsible
understandable.
for them. If it
Yeah.
was somebody else's child, hey, I'm okay. But because
It's
it's my child and I have a responsibility of raising that
Mhm.
child, and that child is not listening to me. you know, you just wanna, no, just kidding.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
that's where I'm getting at. Like you get heated sometimes, and
Yeah.
I have gotten heated and I didn't like it as I was doing it. And I realized that I was doing it at the time. So I had a couple of mindfulness experiences where I was angry
Mhm.
and I was mindful of the fact that I was angry. And yet I could not get myself to just calm down because there is a chemical process that has to happen.
Right.
I can't just calm down. I have to let that process happen. I have to take a deep breath. I have to let my brain fill up with oxygen, and I have to let that oxygen flow around in that blood, and I have to all that chemicals has to be released. You have to have that chemical release before you can go.
Right. But that's the first step, right? Like by becoming aware of that and being like,
Yes.
okay, what's triggering me? No, okay,
Yeah.
there's something triggering me. And as we practice it more and more, I think it just like it's hard to come to the point where there's no more heaviness, no more anger coming out. But I think it's as we go, we learn how to deal with it differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So yeah, I've over the last couple well, some time now there. I don't know. I've kind of gotten a lot more control over that. Again, my perspective in life is a lot different than other people's. And Renzo, I'm having a feeling that you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people who are in the spiritual or wellness
mm-hmm.
where we're having difficulty connecting with a lot of people because they just don't understand us. I see things differently. I see the world differently. I wish,
Especially, man.
yeah, there's a
Like,
lot of people where I wish they can I just take a part of my brain here and just put it in your head just so that you can understand what I'm talking about? I get that feeling a lot of times because they're not understanding me. People don't understand me. So when
it
I'm
does
very
get
positive,
lonely. It all depends. Like, I know, especially in the military, it does get lonely because not a lot of people understand this world, and I get it. Like, it's also it still is a lonely road for me, but less now that I've kind of connected with people who are like-minded, and other people who are of the spiritual community in Montreal, because right now I'm staying in Halifax, but this is not my hometown, so it does get lonely in here. I don't know. I don't have many friends in here or anything, but yeah, definitely back in my hometown, Montreal, I connected with a lot of people who are in this environment, so that does help. That does help, and reaching out to, like, whether that is a friend, a community, or any person that you trust, that really definitely helps.
well, I think we're in a interesting time because the military. I've been reminded a lot about this from my superiors. My superiors who've been in the military for a lot longer than I have remember a day where the military was a lot stricter and a lot tougher. And then if you go beyond their superiors who've been in the military even longer than they have,
Yeah. It was even worse.
it's even worse.
Yeah.
And you and I, we, in a time like 20, 30 years ago, we would have been called hippies,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I still get called a hippie sometimes. It happens.
But it has a
But yeah,
different meaning to
I'm
it now.
cool with it. I take it with a,
Yeah, and
cool.
right now, at least with me, my experience, because let me just say this, I am a reservist. For the most time, I work full time. Sometimes I work part time. Contracts is always change. But
Yeah.
basically, what I'm
Classic.
saying is that I have been at my particular military base for over 13 years, which means my feet are planted where I am, and people recognize me for being this kind of person. They recognize that I am a person who is connected spiritually and connected on a mindfulness, that I do teachings and everything that you can say about my biography and everything that I do.
Mhm.
People know this on my base, my wing that I'm at from Air Force. And so now that connection with the military is changed just on my wing, just for me being planted there, because I connect with the Padres. I connect with the health services that are given in our at work, and health promotions and stuff. Everyone's there. The military on my wing is really, really big for mental health and things like that. I'll tell you, they really got it. But we work together, and so what I do is not frowned upon. It's not silly nonsense to a lot of people on the wing.
Mm.
There is a respect there.
Yeah. So like even the military is evolving. The military is just like a reflection of society in itself. It's like its own,
Yeah, it's their own little world.
yeah.
But
And
what are the doctors saying now? What are the therapists saying? What are all those psychologists? They're all saying the same thing. One of the things that people and their clients can do that's good for them is do meditation.
yeah,
They're
and
all
everyone's
they're all
agreeing now.
prescribing that. Go do some meditation. This will help. It may not cure your life, it may not cure everything, but listen, this is a tool that you can use to better your situation.
And you want to know something funny with that? This is that now science is actually proving that meditation works. I don't know if you heard of Iceman Hoff.
Oh yes,
Yeah, this guy, he can run like
the Wim
marathons.
Hof. Let's do some breathing.
Yeah.
Have
Well,
you tried that, Renzo?
oh
Have you
yeah,
tried
I've
the Wim
tried his
Hof?
breathing, and it activates the DMT in your brain. Basically, that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's pretty strong. I try his breathing techniques, and wow, I was mind blown. But by that,
yeah,
I'm trying now the cold showers. I'm,
yeah,
I'm still not at the at his level yet, but hopefully with practice, who
yep.
knows?
I haven't done the cold showers, and I don't plan on doing it. I
Oh
have
wow!
done the breathing, because he has the
Oh
breathing exercises where you hold your breath for a certain amount of time, and then breathe, and
yeah,
then hold it again. And yeah, anybody wants to try that, he's got free YouTube videos out there.
yeah.
Uh,
Iceman Hoff, go check it out, guys. For those
yeah,
listening,
or Wim Hof. Wim
Wim
Hof is
Hof, right?
what he goes by.
The correct name.
And but he's working on a practice that, if you notice, is in all of it's a natural thing. When you go to do exercise, right? When you go to do any kind of weightlifting or anything like that, you're putting your body through a certain amount of stress. So in order to get yourself a bicep, a muscle, you have to tear that muscle for it, then it gets repaired and then becomes stronger, right? And that happens for every little thing in your body. When you're doing exercises, you have to you have to put yourself through a certain amount of pain in order for your body to get used to that and get better. So when you're doing
Right,
the cold showers, what are you doing? You're
putting it
shocking your body. Your
right,
body is going into shock. And when it goes into shock, it does all kinds of things in order for it shuts down certain things so that your adrenaline gets in there. You got all kinds of different kinds of chemicals going on there as well. And the benefits of that come out um, with a certain amount of resilience and strength, just like going to the gym or anything like that. You know,
Right.
if we're going to go on a diet, what do you got to do? You have to suffer when you go on a diet. You know,
See,
like
that's
I'm
something like,
hungry, but I'm going to lose the weight, but I'm hungry. And then there's a certain amount of suffering. So there's a certain amount of suffering for everything that we do when we are trying to better ourselves. Because if we can just be neutral and just go through life neutral, you don't have to go and go to one extreme or the other. But
right.
if you're
It's
going
all
to go
about the
down,
balance.
you got to go back up. And if you're up, then you got to go down, and then you got to balance yourself out that way. So there is absolutely a way to go and live life in a neutral, straight way.
Right.
Um,
There's going to be pain and growth for sure.
yeah,
There is pain, and it's part of it too, right? It's part of life, accepting those pains that come with growing.
yeah. That's why I for a while I was living a life where I was very just content, you know, very a neutral path, because there is a way to live where it's just neutral. You don't get too excited about life. You don't get too excited about things, and you don't get too down. And it just works out smoothly. It's like you're going through life. Yeah, I'm not too excited, but I'm okay. And then because of that, you're also not down into the ruts of this negative feeling.
Right, because like there are ups and downs, but as you know, as you practice meditation and try to like center yourself, the ups and downs then they don't become as drastic anymore. You become like, you know, instead of the curve being super high and low, it just
Yeah,
kind of stays
exactly.
in a
Exactly.
nice, you know, it, I'm trying to find the word here, like in a nice stable
Yeah, it's
way.
well balanced. It's working in
Right.
harmony. It's
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I have one question for you, which is, what's the number one lesson that you learned from this whole life path of yours of like meditation, spirituality? What's, if you had to give one lesson that you learned during this whole time, what would be your lesson?
Well, that's a big one, because, and I will give you the answer there,
Hmm.
but let me just say, I have a lot of research. I have a lot of life lessons. There is a lot for me to think about to answer that question. If I were to talk about just human life, Rob, in my avatar, living life, I can answer that question on that level, or I can answer that on a scientific level. I can answer that question on a religious level. I can pick one of those and give you a different answer for each one of them. So if I were to pick one out of everything that I've learned throughout the history of my life, and even where I'm going in the future, I think what I would say is that I it is very possible, even if I'm not feeling that way right now, it is absolutely 100% possible to feel okay all the time. To feel okay. Even when there's negative things around me, it's possible to get to a state of mind where everything is okay. If you chop off my arm,
Love it.
yes, that sucks. It's not really something that I want, but you know what? I'm okay. For all the things that I don't want to happen, in bad things in my life that I don't want to happen, if all those bad things do happen in my life, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay. And I think that's the thing that I learned the most. That no matter how anybody's feeling, no matter how you're feeling, no matter how your watchers are feeling right now, your supporters, they can be okay as well. Because the second thing, and I'm going to throw in two more, we are all responsible for our actions. It's a guarantee. You are absolutely 1000% in my mind. You're always responsible for your actions.
Right. And I think
And
that's something that the military teaches us well, right? Accountability. That's something
yeah,
I gotta
I
give
knew
my
that.
kudos to
I
the
felt that
military.
way before I joined the military. That was one of the things that sparked me on my journey, was that I am responsible for everything that I do. I could put the blame game on all kinds of things.
Right.
Things can happen to me. Things can be somebody else's fault. I think I learned this a long time ago.
Hmm.
Something could be somebody else's fault, but I'm still responsible
How you feel about.
for for being there, for just being there. If I was walking, let's just say I grab my coffee in the morning and I'm drinking my coffee. And then I walk out my door and I go down the street and I cross the road and I stop at a newsstand and I grab a newspaper and I cross the street again. Oh, and then I get hit by a truck. I could put all the blame on that truck driver, saying, "You hit me. My whole life is devastated because of what you did." But there's a truth to that. But at the same time, I have to take responsibility where my life began when I woke up. When I first woke up, I took that coffee. Did it take me 1 minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes to drink that coffee? When I walked down onto the street, I am responsible for making that choice. I'm also responsible for stopping and looking at that newspaper. I am responsible for crossing the street at that particular time in which that person, his fault, by the way, smashed into me. So when I look at that, when I look at my responsibility for every single thing that I did, which led to whatever event is going on, it changes your perspective on everything that you're going to do from here on out. So
Right. And even though we're not responsible for other people's actions, we're always responsible to how we react to those
yeah,
actions. So yeah.
you're
Yeah.
interviewing me right now, and I take responsibility for everything that I did up until this moment that led to this conversation, including you. Everything that you did,
Awesome.
you're
Thank you.
responsible for this as well.
Of course, 100%. I am responsible for setting up this podcast. No.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
So, um, and so that changes everything. And which comes down to the third thing that I wanted to share with everybody. To answer your question, the
Yeah.
third thing is that no matter what science tells you, no matter what you've been taught in your entire life, uh, wherever you learned all these things on the planet, because what we learned here in North America might be different for people out in the Middle East or wherever. No matter what, the only truth for sure that I believe, that I think that we can all accept, is that you are an observer in this world. I could tell you that some science
Absolutely.
will tell me that my body doesn't really exist. Some spiritual connections might tell me that I don't really exist in this body, that we're all just one conscious. Everything that you and I just talked about, some
Yeah.
people might say that that's phony baloney and does not exist. What I can guarantee you, though, is that I am having this experience right now. No matter what science or what people or what religion tells me, I am having this experience.
Yeah.
So I am an observer in this world. I am responsible for everything that I do. And it is very possible to feel okay throughout my entire life.
Right. Love it. Love it. Really. Uh, so yeah, to finish, I have two more questions for you. And the first one is, what is your favorite book, movie, or documentary, and why?
uh, so it depends on what level we're talking about. If we're talking about movies, I'm a movie buff. So I don't watch TV. I actually really don't. I literally don't watch TV, but I do watch movies. I love watching movies every weekend. Friday nights is something that I do. So I have done a lot. I've watched a lot of movies, and I can't come up with one because my kids ask me the same thing. What's your favorite movie, Dad? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have one. Documentaries and stuff, I've seen a lot of them too. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of any documentary.
I'm the same. I never remember names. I
You
just
know,
remember what
and it,
happens.
yeah, and
Or
it's too bad
not
because
the names.
there's some documentaries that deserve the respect for me to remember, you know. but because I'm constantly learning, Renzo, I'm a bit of a researchaholic. As soon as from this point on, by the time I go to bed, I will have researched something.
I'm the same. I feel you. I'm the same on that side.
So I have a book right here, and I don't read a lot. And the reason why I don't read a lot is because maybe it's the artist in me. I have a visual nature.
Mm-hmm.
I like to experience things visually or on hand.
Right.
So
And that's important too, to have your own experiences of life, right?
yeah,
Because it's good to read books and all, but also experiencing things for ourselves. That's like, wow, there's nothing like it, really, right? And we also have the answers inside ourselves if we really dare to
yeah.
ask.
Well, I have a problem, and I'm actually also going to be doing a video on this soon, and that's the reactions of dopamine in our mind, how
Hmm.
we're always looking for that instant gratification.
No,
I
it's
know
interesting.
this about myself. I know that I'm constantly researching as part of a way to get that dopamine fix. I know this about myself.
Okay.
So I don't do a lot of reading because I can just go online and get it pretty quick. Whereas a book, you tend to have to read 200 to 400 pages worth of something to really get it.
Hmm.
But because you asked, and I do have two books in front of me. This is an old book. It's called The Power of Now.
Oh my God, I have the same one. Just in my,
Yeah.
love
So
it.
it's by Eckhart Tolle. And this is one of his earlier books. And I find that this book really changes a lot, because you can read the first 10 pages and put the book down and never pick it up. And
And you'll get what you need out of it. Yeah, absolutely.
right. Exactly. And by the time you get three quarters in, and no offense to Eckhart here, by the time you get three quarters in, all right, you've gotten the point. You've gotten the point that he's
Mhm.
trying to tell you.
Oh yeah,
So,
I agree.
but as hard as it is to finish the book, because he puts the point over and over and over again,
Mhm.
the message and what you learn in here, which is the power of now, which is the power of becoming present and becoming mindful of this moment. Forget about the past and the future. And he has a way of explaining how to deal with the past and the future in here. And so I think that this is one of the most profound books that I have read.
Awesome. Yeah, that book was also a game changer for me. It
Yeah,
really made me realize how our brains are constantly filled with thoughts, and just that being the importance is just being in the present moment now, because that's all that ever is, that one present moment.
exactly. This other book is just another book that I had on hand. It's the
Oh,
Tao of I Ching. So that's
I
been
heard of
written.
it. I've been wanting to read that book for a while now. I think now you're
You should get your hands on it, because as much as this book and a lot of other books like that resonate with us today and well, forever. I mean, I think that's that the book. I think this book can resonate with anybody in the
it's kind
future.
of like a Bible, right?
Yeah, 1,000 years from now, this will still be good for people.
Yeah,
But I find
definitely.
that this, which has been written, I think it's been 1,000 years ago, this thing. And anyway, this hits you on so many different levels. Everything in here is true. It makes sense to you. You get a lot of aha moments in this when you're like, aha, I get it. And when I first picked up this book and I read it, I had those aha moments. But as I grow and as I grow into my new journey and things like that, when I revisit this book, I see everything even differently. So this book here hits you on so many levels,
Right on.
and it's a good teaching tool. Yeah. So
That's
I,
awesome.
I you asked
Now
for one, I gave you two.
there you go. I never read that book, but now you convinced me. Gonna get it.
Yeah, I would.
And last question for you to wrap it up. Who was the most influential person in your life, and what and why?
So that one there has to have different levels as well. Again, if you're going to talk about my younger life, who influenced me then, and I will just give a shout
Like your
out to my own
biggest
family.
inspiration. Sorry, what was
But
that?
my family was really good to me when I was growing up. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. So both my parents and my brothers and sisters became my parents as well. So if I did something wrong and I got in trouble 5 other times. It's like I had to go through each person in my family just to get in trouble, which kept me from doing anything wrong, by the way. But there was a person in town where I live, and I was part of a business program, and it was a small business program. This person who was directing that program, her name was Jen Gallen, and I haven't spoken to her in a long time, but I have to give the credit where credit is due. This particular person would, in the middle of a business program, give us connections to people who did psychology. She would give us connections to people who did astrology. She would give us connections to all kinds. She put me on that spiritual path. She had
Awesome.
spiritual people coming in to this business program all the time. And I still not exactly sure why she did that, but regardless, from that time, and again, that was when I was about 26, 27 years old in my life, that is where I branched out. So I know for sure, and this is why I'm choosing this person, I know for sure that that person influenced me the most, because had I not been there at that particular time, I would not have gone in that direction and where I am now. I still may have been a good person, Renzo. I still may have found the path towards, mindfulness, and all. I still may have gotten here somehow,
Hmm.
but I can't think of a time that I was steered into a direction like I was at that time. Like I can clearly see that was the fork in the road that made me go, you're going in that direction. And it was because of that individual. So uh, that's who was the most influential.
Awesome.
From there, though, all my research, I mean, I can talk about other gurus that I've seen. There's a lot of them out there.
Oh yeah.
Sanguru is one. Alan Watts is one of my favorite people that I love to listen to at a time. If you never heard of him, Alan Watts,
Oh yeah, Alan Watts.
he's inspirational, and he'll make you
Yeah.
laugh at the same time. And he'll also make you scratch your head and go, oh my God. But there is a lot of people who I have been inspired by. And it is now to the point where people like you inspire me.
Well, thank you. So
Inspire-
I'm very touched by that. Thanks a lot. You inspired me as well. There's a reason why I
Yeah.
invited you to be my first
It,
guest on this podcast.
it's not like I'm walking around on my high horse and I'm just saying showing people the way. What am experiencing is that there are other spiritual warriors out here,
Right. And you're
and
one of them.
you're one of them. And so when I see what you're doing, I'm paying attention to that. I'm paying attention to that in a very respectful way. I'm like,
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
I'm very happy that you're doing what you're doing. I really am so happy that you're doing it. And there's some other people that I'm connected to that I see, I have the same reaction to. It's like, I'm glad that there are people out here. So you inspire me, my friend. And,
Thanks a lot, brother.
and I
Appreciate it.
truly mean that. And
You inspire me as well.
yeah.
Honestly, check your videos on YouTube. Wow, that survival thing, and you did a last one about like frequencies,
Oh, yeah. So
the
I have,
alpha waves, beta waves, and all this stuff.
yeah.
That was really good, very well explained. Like I couldn't
Thank
have explained it any better myself.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm working on another video right now, which it's a little bit disconnected from things like that, and I'm waiting to put that on my channel, because right now that one that you're talking about is getting some good attention. So I kind of want to leave it in the algorithm of the YouTube algorithms that are out there.
Yeah,
So
no, definitely.
yeah.
All right. Well, that was a great conversation with you, Rob. And yeah, so where can people see you? Where can they follow you?
So my big initiative is that I called this my initiative "Your Inner Being," because that's where the inner side is expressed outwards, and my intention is to try to get the whole world, as many people as I possibly can, to understand that within them there is so much more potential, and as a human race, as a human race, we can change this world so where everybody in the planet can get shelter, food, water, warmth, medication, and basic education. And that's
Free
my mission.
energy as well.
So I have a Facebook page and a YouTube, and they're both titled the same. My Facebook is Your Inner Being um, group. It's a group. And my YouTube channel, you have to say it like this when you're going to type it in. You have to go Your Inner Being channel. You have to put the word channel in it, because what
Okay.
happens is that there are so many people on YouTube who are talking about YouTube or your inner being, that
Right.
that's the title of their videos, is Your Inner Being. And so if you type up Your Inner Being, you're going to get a lot of videos from other
Oh,
people. So
gotcha,
for
gotcha.
me, if you put in Your Inner Being channel, you'll find me.
Perfect. Remember that, guys. Your inner being channel. Don't forget the
Your Inner
channel
Being
there at
channel.
the end. And the Facebook page, you have a.
So the Facebook page is the group where people can come in and they can post their own events. So it's something that you can do, Renzo. You can come and you can post your videos or links to your videos in this group. You can post your ideas. That group is designed for everybody to be on that same page, where we're all trying to expand our realizations of what humans can do.
Awesome.
So we all have a say. And so that's what I'm hoping for. There's a lot of people to come and join that group. And by the way, that group now is starting to get really global. I got people in there from London, England, the United States, all over
That's amazing.
Africa, all kinds of places. People are joining this. And I think
It's
it's
amazing to see that this awakening happening worldwide. Eh?
It is. It is. So whoever we reach out to with your connections here, with your subscribers and the people who are supporting you, I invite all of you to yeah, I invite you to see my videos, but I really would like to see everybody join that group as well, because that's where you have your say. And even if you don't want to say anything, you can hear it from other people that we're all in this together. And
Right.
yeah.
Perfect. Well, I thank you so much for accepting my invitation here to the podcast. It was a pleasure, really, really a big pleasure talking to you, and wishing you all the best in your next projects. And hopefully, we'll get to talk soon.
Thank you very much for your time. And as I always say, take care. And I wish you well.
Much love, brother.